what you end up having is a bolt with a nut rotating on the other side. And obviously there's no way to get in there to undo that, so I have to find another way around, or I have to take this entire fender off, so fun. Spray that goodness there. Little piece that broke off, if it'll focus. Bolt's in good shape though. If it wasn't already obvious that when you're working with 50-year-old cars, freaking these little nut clips just break every time. Every single one. This one just disconnected itself from that. So yeah, whenever working on these older cars, go ahead and just buy yourself a new set of nuts, or nut clips. Probably gonna see that. Probably a new set of nut clips. Similar to these. Yeah, new hardware if you feel too fancy. Because sometimes you get some bolts that are still in good shape. Other times you might get some more rusty boys. Probably be a good idea to switch them out anyways. So taking off the, I guess you call it the eyebrow, and the little side trim, this one right here. Let's go off the side. This is what I'll be taking off on the other fender. I got a few bits of hardware here, so you got 1, 2, well, nuts gone on that one. Ooh, one in there. 3, 4. Yep. And then for the bottom piece of the line. So just once again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this one you get 2, 1, and 2. And those are all 3/8 fittings. So you take the 3 actually. Oh, okay. The 4th one, they're all little clips that sit inside. The. I'm just gonna call it the eyebrow piece. There you go. This one's in not too bad shape. It's a little dented up here. I'm gonna go ahead and just replace these two. I'm gonna go take a look at this one again. This one gave me troubles. I was lucky enough I could still take the fender off, but there's once again, a spinning nut in there. Gotta get back in there. So you can take a look at this. So you get your 1/2-inch nut, and then there it is. It's like there's like a square nut or something peeking over the edge there. Now, because of this frame rail right here, it's going to be a little difficult to stick anything in there because it literally just goes right here. If I had like a crow's foot, that'd be perfect. Right now I do not, so I have to get creative. There it is. So with enough cutting, prying, and pulling, I was able to get the piece that was retained up there. I wonder if you can see this. This piece, or actually technically this piece, was the secured nut because it was connected to these clip pieces here. I guess this was on here, sort of like this. Yeah. So this was giving me all the grief. So I'm gonna see if I can find a fresh one, because this looks like a bigger bolt size. Let's see if I can find one. So I wanted to sort of plan this out almost ahead of time to try to get where I'm trying to go here with this fuel system. Ignore the top there. That's what I'll do if I get like a electrical fuel pump. But for now, basically you got your fuel tank, have a little filter up before it hits the hard line, because I do want to reuse that hard line. Once it comes out, barbs right into the fuel pump, the barb, and then I got a filter that actually has an AN fitting at the end, and also a barb. So it's like, you know, your usual metal filters that has the barbs on each end, but you could attach an AN6, so I'm going to use the filter as a conversion to go to the regulator. And so what I'm going to do next is I get a little, what's on the inside there is a 3/8 inverted flare. So it's basically the same as the inlet to the quadrajet. It's that one right there. See how the comes out towards me? There's a flare, and if you could see this, it's a little difficult. There we go. Has the flared tubing kind of piece right on the inside, so that'll go right onto the fuel pump. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that, and that way I could run just, you know, the minimum amount of rubber line, pretty much starting from the back, and then after the filter it'll be all AN6 at that point, including the return line. So here's the stuff that I'll be using. Basically you got your AN hoses, your fuel gauge. Make sure you get a really nice aeromotive regulator. This one has four of the outlets and a return. Let's see, this is the one I got. It's one of the two, but I'm going to use it for carburetor use. So buying that this was a used regulator, just wanted to make sure to check the gasket with a little membrane, I guess, that goes back and forth. Went ahead and went in with some carb cleaner, because you can see the little residue of the alcohol sort of drying up on the edges here. They don't want to seem to go away, but that's okay. So make sure to check this, no leaks. Basically sits in there. This spring, this one's the softer carburetor rated spring. There's this little dish that sits right on top. And then the housing, the top housing, goes up top as well, so make sure to check where the other bolt holes are at. Just want to line it all up, and then go ahead and start with the screws. Honestly, just best to place them in there. Probably help that you're doing it on an even table, not the hood of a car. Maybe I could just do, say, like a quarter turn each. Or how about an eighth turn? There you go. Nice and smooth. So the first thing I do know about is that there's 4 inlet outlets. I will only be using 3 of them, basically. So the back one I'm probably going to plug up. So that's why I went ahead and got some of these stainless plugs. All these are 3/8 fittings, and I read on the manual here is that some of these pipe threads will require thread sealant, and they recommend Loctite 565 or equivalent. So I went ahead and got a little thing of 565. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that. Maybe just a little bit more, but being a pipe thread, I should be fine. So this uses, I believe, 11/16. There we go. Nice and snug. Just like that. Can't see the excess out there, but it's just right at the edge of there. So I'm just gonna let it cure like that. It should be good. And just like that, I have it tightened up. These just happen to have the longer fitting, so it looks really awkward seeing that these aren't flushed out. But I did notice that a lot of the other fittings had like really short threads like that. And so this would go flush up against that. Well, these didn't quite go that far. Pushed them as far as I could go, but I think these are plenty tight and they probably won't leak. Here in my garage again. All this stuff sitting on my hood. It's time to get back at it. So today, I'm gonna go ahead and take apart all the fuel lines that go to the mechanical fuel pump. Get rid of this. Go ahead and put in the right fittings. Pretty much basically get it prepped for a regulator. And all the lines to go to the return line. Obviously the tank is still just about ready to go. Oh yeah, quick little tip here. As you take it apart or before you take it apart, probably always helps to mark which direction the fuel was going. That way, if you do use it again, you don't turn it around and then let all the sediment flow backwards, basically bypassing it. You don't want to do that. Let's make that out of there, and there you go. You got your hard line that was made for the small block. Very nice. So now that I'm going to be rocking external filters, I'm going to be replacing that fitting that I just took out with an Aeromotive, if you see that. It's a 7/8, I think, to 6AN, and this comes with a little crush washer, I think. I'm just going to go fasten that in. Oh no, this is not the right fitting. Oh, tragic. Okay, so I had to go back on Summit, because turns out buying 7/8-20 fittings is not what fits my Quadrajet. Fortunately, there's this one right here, which is exactly what I'm looking for. 1" -20 thread into a 6AN. One left in stock, so I'm gonna go ahead and buy that. Okay, so back to the fuel system here. Went ahead and taken out the original inlet to the Quadrajet. I got this. This is a, let's see, what is it? 1" -20 to AN6. So that's what goes in there. One last thing I almost forgot. So, I got my freaking regulator right here. I was going to go ahead and put my gauge on there, and there I got a good quality gauge by Aeromotive. This one obviously for carburetor uses. This one I think you could pull that up and it sort of just vents it out so you get a reset the reading every time you need to take a look at it. I almost forgot that this is 8th inch NPT, and this is a 3/8. So went ahead and got me, once again, thank you Amazon, 3/8 to 1/8 NPT fitting, so that'll work. And there we go. Perfect. Yep, she's tight. Okay, bad news. So while I was attempting to put the gas tank back in, I was noticing I was having a very difficult time getting the straps fastened on. Like, I could barely get them on. And so when I did have them, I had the nut barely just threaded on, just barely on there, I noticed that the fitting, the end fitting, I removed it. I just put the nut back on, or the bolt back on. It was literally touching the top of the trunk roof. And I was wondering why, because I thought I had enough clearance. In fact, I went, it's not even, got a little bit of room there. I imagine there'd be plenty of room. Turns out, see if you can see this. That right there, see if you focus. Yes, follow my finger. Yeah, there's a bulge right there the bulges downwards. So I was touching that. I was wondering what the heck that bulge was for. And of course, literally just how they designed it for the spare tire. You see that bulge right there. You see where the spare tire would sit in there. So it was hitting that. So that sucks. Fuck. So gas tank is almost done. Went ahead and put in the AN fitting on here, but unfortunately when I was taking out the bolt, the freaking JB weld cracked. Like the whole thing spun when I was trying to just take the bolt out. And so I reapplied it, and I think I'm gonna give it like, 2 days of curing just to make sure it's hard, because that one right there is solid. So I'm just give it 1 or 2 more days before it goes into the car. Or probably 1 day, put it in the car, and then let it sit there and let it do its curing before I put it on the fuel lines. Because before I do that, gotta put the fender back on. And before all that, gotta put on the heater core and blower. So I'm trying to plan this out accordingly. Okay, so the tank is mostly in. I'm gonna crawl up under here just to see what we got. So as you can see, let's see. So there's our, let's take this out. There's our vent right here. We got our fuel line, so this one will go into the sending unit right here. Of course, we got a return line. Come on. There we go, our return line. Luckily not hit nothing. So this will work out because these are more flexible, so these you could basically just stretch them out, put on a rubber hose, get on with the day. And fortunately and unfortunately, the mistake I did, it's hitting, but it's not doing any more damage than it's doing already, so it should be good. Otherwise, I got my new ground spot, and so I should be ready to go. Okay, tank is now in. Now I just need to go do some buttoning up on the front end. And I'm assuming, well, I hate to assume, but the weight and the tension of the tank itself will keep those nuts from walking out. Seems quite like a reasonable assumption. Just before I forget, just go ahead and plug this boy right in. It's a nice rainy day. I'm gonna go ahead and mask the inside glass and windows, probably from here, maybe a little bit of the roof here, because I'm gonna go ahead and just sand down the dash, the steel dash, clean it up, because there's a bunch of rust bits that honestly just doesn't look too pretty for me to look at. Like, this is not bad. That right there, not too pretty. So I'm gonna clean it over, remove some of the little hardware there. I'll mask the windshield here, probably the back, because I already sprayed it just to protect the wiring. Keep that, protect that. And I'm just gonna sand it down, maybe use a grinder, it might be faster. Grind it down, get the paint off or all that old stuff off, and go ahead and seal it. I had it masked off. Basically, got a new coat of paint on the dashboard itself. It's not perfect, but try to get like a sort of glossy look. I might go over it again with an extra thing of gloss. It'll do the trick.